Hey there, welcome to another episode of my FeltTube playlist. My name is Christine if you're joining me for the first time, and it is July 8th, 2025, and I thought that this kit by Bucilla called Summer Fun would be a fun one to get started on. I haven't actually felt like working on any felt since I think it was February of this year, so a little while ago. But I think I'm starting to get the felt bug back again. I was torn because I really want to work on Halloween, because I always want to work on Halloween, but I need some summery mantle decor. Now, I'm going to work on this, but I might not make it a wreath. I might make it garland instead, so it depends. I'm going to make all the pieces and then decide if I'm going to do the wreath or not. I haven't really finalized a good way to do the wreaths yet that I like, so I could either... Yeah, I'm probably going to do that maybe with my Valentine wreath that I haven't quite finished yet, but I don't know. I'll see. I'll see what I'm going to do with it. But today, I'm going to just show you the unboxing of it. So we're going to go back inside and open this kit up and see what's inside. This is kind of what the back side of it looks like. It's not too thick with felt, so I don't know. Shouldn't be too difficult to do, but we'll see. So join me inside here in a few minutes and we'll take a look. Good morning. It is time for me to give you a progress update on what I have done so far. Okay, so I have decided, I think I was waffling back and forth in the last clip as to whether or not I was going to do the wreath versus the garland, and I just had an epiphany that I could just buy a second kit and I can do both. I can do a wreath and then make a matching garland. So I decided that's what I'm going to do. All right, what I usually like to do with these is find the pieces and parts that go together and do a rough cut on them and get them individually in their bags so that I can kind of grab and work on each one as I work on it. So that's what I did. And these are the ones that I haven't started yet, but I did do a few of them so far. So I did start the wreath part, which I actually did first, but I'll show you that in a minute because I just want to show you how cute some of these little pieces are. So this is the little popsicle, which interesting about this is not all of the pieces do they want me to stuff. So this is one of the ones that that they did require some stuffing on. So I just did a little bit of a light stuffing. But for instance, the sunglasses, which I'm working on here, are not going to be stuffed. They just want you to put a piece of poster board in the middle of them there's the back. So a little piece of poster board to make it kind of stiff. And another one that they want that done with is the flip-flop. So the two flip-flops do not require any stuffing. And so yeah, interesting. I was going to stuff them thinking, they feel like they're missing kind of something being not stuffed. But then again, it doesn't really make sense to stuff sunglasses or flip-flops, right? Because they're kind of flat. So, yep, so cute. Getting ready to do the sequins on this one. And then I will put the poster board and that one will be done as well. Okay, so let me grab the wreath and show you how it looks so far. Okay, so I did all of the leaves and out of order, I went ahead and did all of the little flowers. And then here is my cute, adorable flip-flop. That is not stuffed, it's just flat, which feels very awkward to not have added stuffing to it, but turned out so cute. So there's gonna be a second flip-flop that's gonna go down here. So some interesting things. Okay, so here's my little flowers here. they just required a sort of a long stitch and then some French knots. And I made a little change here and did the French knots some different colors than they called for, because I wanted there to be kind of a variety in the colors that I did for the centers. So some of them have pink, some have yellow, and some have white. Okay, another interesting thing about this kit is, let me get a zoom in here. For the leaves, let me find a good one here. This looks good. So for the leaves, they called for 3 rows of split stitch. So let me try to get a close-up of that there. And I had, I've done a split stitch before, but I hadn't ever done like 3 rows next to each other. And I really like the way that turned out. It almost gives me an idea that if I do the name on a stocking, that might be a stitch I might want to use for that. So I cut out all the leaves and I did all of the split stitches on them all. And then it just says to attach the leaves to the wreath. And it doesn't really give a lot of instruction on how to do that. But if you look at the picture, you can kind of see, I know my lighting is not really great right here, but you know, you can kind of see like right here. They do a lot of tinier stitches than I do. I do a more, I space my stitches a little bit more apart because I'm not necessarily sure they need to be that close together, but you know, personal preference. I think they leave a lot to the creator's imagination to kind of do how you want to do with these. So what I did is I went ahead and did the stitching. I did the stitching that on the areas that are going to be exposed, but then the areas that are going to have something on top of them, like this is going to be the sunglasses, I just left those sort of unstitched right there because the sunglasses are going to be stitched, you know, on top of that. If that makes any sense, it would be kind of redundant. So yes, anytime that's something like this, I just left this kind of loose right here because it's going to have the popsicle on top of it. So just kind of as a time saver. And that's how I did it. Don't know if it's right or wrong, but you know, they sort of just let you leave it to your imagination there. So that one doesn't seem like it. Oh, that's the sunglasses. I was like, oh, that's like not placed right, but it is. That's just the edge of the sunglass right there. So yep, the sunglasses will just go right on top of there like that. Cover that up. So yeah, it's turning out to be really cute. And I will show you when I get a little bit more done on how it's progressing. Okay, it's time for an update and to let you know that I changed things up a little bit since the last clip that I showed you. So after looking at the flip-flop and seeing that it was flat and didn't have any stuffing in it at all, and then the popsicle was fluffy, I decided I didn't really like that look. I figured like they all either needed to be stuffed or they all needed to be flat. So I did some investigating and I went over to PLAID Crafts YouTube page because they do a couple times a year like a showcase of their Bucilla projects and they show them. And so when I looked at them doing this wreath, I could see that all of the elements had a little bit of floof to them, a little bit of stuffing. So I went back and I took my little original flip-flop off and I opened it up again and I did add some stuffing. So just very little. Can you see that? It's just a little bit of a poof because I used some low loft quilt batting. So it's flat and really thin. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do that and I'm going to just make them all exactly the same. So I then went and took the popsicle that was really puffy and I put a piece of poster board in it, which it didn't originally call for, and I did just the exact same amount of low loft quilt batting in that one. So we've got that's how those two look now that I redid them. And just to kind of show you what that is, because I have just one more element left to do. So this is how thin it is. So you've got the backing, and then I did my little piece of poster board that you stick in there, and then just the thinnest piece of this low loft quilt padding. I have like a queen size bag of it. And then you put that in there, and then you then set that on top. And so I just need to go and stitch that one closed, and that will be the last one. I don't know, I think I feel better about that. Now, that's just my personal opinion. You know, I'm not judging anybody that chooses to do it a different way. It's just for me, I felt like they all kind of needed to be a little bit cohesive. So even the sunglasses, I only put stuffing just right under the lenses there. But, you know, you can see it's just very thin. And then here we've got the little bit of stuffing in the lemonade. And I chose not to put the pipe cleaner in here, the chenille stick, I think, that, or chenille stem, whatever they call that. I think it holds up on its own, but it didn't have green backing on the back of it, so I kind of just, I wanted to hide my stitching back there, so I kind of finagled a piece of green felt on the back side of that, because that will be seen from the back of the wreath. And my seeds, leave a little bit to be desired there, my little satin stitching on my seeds, but, you know, we're just gonna leave them as they are. Speaking of satin stitching, so this is my favorite element. The little flamingo float is just adorable. So I was supposed to do satin stitching black for the eye, the black in the eye, and also the tip of the beak here. Neither of which I wanted to do because I don't feel my skills were good enough to do that justice. So I cut black felt for those. And then the only other thing I did here is I wanted to give a little bit of dimension from the back to the front of the float to make that look indented. So I just did a little stitching right there to kind of pucker it a little bit and just to give it a little more dimension. The cutest thing ever. Is it not? Okay, so those are them. Oh, and then I finished up all of the last of these daisies. Daisies are my least favorite element to do, and I just don't know that I'll ever do on a kit that has daisies again. They're so pretty, but they're tedious. Doing all those little individual, you know, the little individual sequins on all those little petals. So I kind of cheated, and nobody's going to see the back anyway, but can you see that I kind of did almost like a web? I kind of just, here, let me try to get that to focus a little bit. But I just kind of went around in a circle, just kind of around, getting all of the sequins done that way. And I got through it. And I will be right back. Okay, sorry, I had to assist my dog with something. Anyway, I think that's just enough to say about those. They're just not my favorite, but they are really pretty. Okay, so I got all of the elements, and then I had to figure out how I was going to do the wreath part. And I've just been kind of, you know, thinking about that in my head of how I wanted to approach it, because the wreath I did, if you go back to my Witch's Brew wreath that I made, I used poster board, which is kind of thin. And I don't know, I feel like I just went about it in a kind of a cumbersome way. I did cut the poster board, and then as I was sewing around the wreath, I was stuffing it with just regular polyfill stuffing. So I wanted to approach it in a little bit easier way this time. So this is what I've done so far, is I cut a piece of cardboard. Now you'll see all this tape on the back here. I cut some cardboard, and this is thicker cardboard. It's like thicker, just a box I had, some thicker corrugated cardboard. Then I took some double-sided sticky tape, and I took my same low loft quilt batting, so you can see it's pretty thin, and I just stuck it on there. So it's kind of, you know, it's not gonna move. It'll hold it in place. And then I think because I want it padded on both sides, I went ahead and put some sticky tape here, and I just kind of wanted to show you that this is just, I don't know, I got it on, where did my husband, I think I got this from my husband's room. He had just some double-sided sticky tape, but you can see then you just peel that off. So what I do is then I'm gonna lay it on the quilt batting again, and then cut around it. So what it's gonna be is a piece of batting, then cardboard, then batting. And I'll bring you inside and show you what that looks like. Or, well, let me go get my wreath inside, and I'll bring it out here. Okay, so I went and just got the backing of the wreath, and just to kind of show you that, how I'm gonna layer it. So I'm gonna just put it on there after I get both. So, you know, obviously I don't have the other polyfill batting or the other quilt batting on top of this yet. And because these wreaths aren't completely round, you kind of have to finagle it around just to get it. But you could see that it's got, I don't know, roughly like 1/4 of an inch of space that is going to allow me to attach that to the front of the wreath. So I think any way you look at it, it's kind of fiddly doing this part, but I do like the way this was a little bit easier to do than the way I did the other one, and I like that it's going to be a little stiffer than the poster board that I used last time. I like the cardboard. It was, you know, more of a pain to cut, but you know, as you can see, you don't have to really have, it doesn't have to be perfection, because it's just all going to be buried inside, so you don't really have to do a good job at it. It just has to be smaller all the way around. So I am excited to go get just another piece of batting to lay on top of this so it'll stick, and then I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to add all of my elements to the front of the wreath and then attach the front of the wreath to the back of the wreath, and we'll be done. I do need to put a hanger on the back side of this, or just remember before I'm done, maybe I'll put a little safety pin there to remind myself before I close it completely that I need to attach something to hang it with. If not, you can attach a hanger onto the back. So, okay, well, that's how I've approached it. We'll see. I know that people have used plastic canvas for this part instead of cardboard, which if I had some on hand, I probably would have tried that, but since I had cardboard on hand, I thought, well, I'll just do what I have on hand. But we're getting close to the end. I'm excited. Okay, as I taped the back side of the batting on, I went ahead and cut it, not exactly the size of the cardboard, but a little bit bigger, and I cut like little tabs in it because I was thinking to give this side even a little bit more fluff is I can just fold this over, and that will actually smooth up that raw edge a little bit too. Same with the outside. You can just cut the little tabs like that and fold it, and then this front side will be just a little bit puffier that you can add than the front of the wreath too. Haven't decided if I'm for sure going to do it that way or if I'm just going to go ahead and cut it even. I'll let you know what I do. Okay, so after playing around with it a little bit, I decided I am going to try doing the wraparound method because I like that it's giving it just a little bit extra bulk. And I didn't do anything with it. It kind of just sticks to itself. So I'm going to see if I can just leave it at that and try to work with it, because when I pin the other piece on top, I'll just go ahead and put the clips to kind of hold it around. But if it gets to be too much to finagle with, I may end up backtracking and cutting off this extra bulk, because I don't know that it really needs it, but I'm going to try, right? Because you never know if you're going to like something until you try it. Okay, it's me again. I'm back because right after I turned off the camera, I decided that I would make my life easier by just doing a whip stitch to hold these pieces together. So I just took a big piece of green floss and I'm just grabbing that piece like so. Okay, this is one hand, and I just grab that piece there and then grab this piece here like this, and I'm just whip stitching them together. And I'm almost to the end, and it took literally less than 5 minutes, but I think it'll make my life easier just to kind of hold those pieces in. So okay, I laid the wreath on there to see how that was going to work with that extra padding, and now I'm second guessing myself because it's going to be kind of a tight fit to wrap that around. So I don't know, now I'm kind of thinking it might be too much, because it is, yeah, that might have just, because, you know, hard telling. I mean, I know I'm just going to be catching just the edge, so it might not be too fat, but I don't know. I'm kind of thinking maybe it's too much, too thick. Okay. Well, we'll see. I might start to, after I add all the elements, because I'm going to do that first, then I'll try stitching. And if it's just too much and I feel like it's pulling and just too tight, I probably will take off that extra level of batting. Okay, you're learning along with me. And I'm back one more time because I just decided I'm going to go back to plan A. And I think in this case that less is more, and that it was just going to frustrate me to have all of that extra batting on there. So we just did the original idea of sandwiching just one layer of batting cut evenly, cut flush with the edge of the cardboard, and calling it good. I think, you know, because it's really, that's just the background, you know. The star of the show is the front of the wreath, and this is just, you know, going to be just lightly padded, and I think I'm going to be happy with that. There's no going back now. Okay, here is the wreath out in the sun in all its glory. So let's just get a close-up here of all of these cute little sparkly items. So adorable. Okay, so I have it hanging on my mantle, and you can tell that if I had some little garland hanging above it in between my little lantern lights, that it would look really cute. So I really need to make those. I did buy another kit, but I'm probably not going to make them this year. I will make them next year, so I say. Okay, so I took it off to show you the back side of it here, and just so you can kind of see how I just did a whip stitch around the edges. And you can also see that there is enough extra space there that I could have put extra padding in there. But I think, you know, the thinness of it is, I think it's perfect. I don't know. I like it. I'm happy with it. So I forgot to put my hanger. Like I always do, I forgot to leave an opening to put the hanger. So this looks a little janky right here because I made my cording and then as an afterthought had to attach it to the back. And in hindsight, I actually like it better. I think it hangs a little better with the hook in the back. So I ended up just first attached it there by the knot, and then I ended up attaching it a little bit higher up so that it gives it a little bit more stability there. So I think it actually looks better because now the hanger is hidden and you don't see it behind there. So yeah, it just kind of looks a little funny. But overall, I am really happy with the way this turned out. It's so cute. And yeah, I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I like that the cardboard is a little bit stiffer too than the poster board that I used last time. So, all right, well, let me know if you've made this or if you plan on making it. And I hope that I was able to provide some insight on assembling this adorable wreath. Okay, bye for now. See you in the next video. Happy stitching.